I think one of the big parts of the movie that works and I think people enjoy is this sense of globetrotting and this sense of geopolitical sort of movement in a film. You know, obviously the Bourne films do it, Bond films do it, so it is part of the trope of the genre. So I tend to want to ground things a little more, so it was important for it to be as real as possible and try to play the cities that we're shooting in as those cities, like Rome.
It's a very much globe-trotting movie, and I think that makes it feel current. Like, events don't seem isolated anymore. They feel like they ripple across, right?
Michael Quest was really smart. Now, I will say that we all were on board with that, and I'm assuming, you know, the producers were too. But Dylan and I were always concerned about not making this simplistic, you know, these are the evil, bad people when we're the good people. You know, it's complex. It was so smart when he took the onus off that and made it more of an international movie, you know, because that's the truth. That's what's going on.
And I think so. I think the idea that in one movie, spy plot, you could be in Washington, D.C., London, Rome, Malta, Jordan, Turkey, Providence, Rhode Island. So, you know, you're 7 different locations right there, and somehow they're all tied together in one plot. I think that makes it feel like the world it is right now. It's global. It's not isolated in one form or another.
We filmed in Rome and outside of Rome in Fiumicino, which is where the airport is, and the canals are, which is right on the Mediterranean. I don't think people associate Rome with the Med, but it's only 30 minutes from the coast.
There's a really simple scene. We're sitting outside of the cafe. I just kind of liked what was written, and also I thought, wow, I'm in Rome making a big international movie that was really fun.
Well, I'm half Italian. My mom's from Bari, not Rome. I mean, the antiquity here, the textures, the history, I think it's steeped in sort of the spy craft, you know, spy thriller genre. To be in a foreign city like this gives the film scope. It's important to be on the streets of Rome and not shooting it in Toronto and playing it as Rome.
We use Rome as a character very much in its, you know, as it is and as beautiful as it is, but we then turn a corner and come into a very real environment that's part of the, you know, that's part of the Rome that most people never go to, including some of our location people in Rome who, when I suggested the idea of going to the housing complex where we're shooting, a number of them were a bit like, ooh, okay, that's a bit dodgy.
In the third act of the film, we designed a sequence where the bomb is being built. We have a nuclear weapon being put together, and it's in the vicinity of Rome, but I thought it would be interesting to find something of, I think, Rome or outside of Rome that I think American audiences at least haven't seen really. We filmed at a housing project that was inspired by that movie Gomorrah.
It's an Italian film, and it's a very real, very grounded film about gangsters in a housing complex. And we liked the idea of that. We liked it being a bit different from the kind of candy floss version of Italy that you see in a lot of films.
So I felt because one of the characters was like his thugs were working out of a housing project at a place called Corviale, which is one of these sort of post-war utopian government housing apartment complexes.
Well, I prefer, because the way I brought up, because the movies I watched, when I was growing up as a director of photography or as a filmmaker, I prefer to do things as practical as possible.
Yeah, well, I think you always want to, your DP, if it could be a silent film, you still want to be able to know what the fuck is going on. And I think he has that in spades as well, you know. And it grounds it. I think most importantly, it's almost like just a fly in the room, you know, a fly on the wall, you know, in the sense of like, this is just happening. We've just got it on film. It's not glorified, it's just, this is what's going on. I love that part of it.
Well, that always, the more you can have around you as an actor that's practical and not just you kind of in a blue suit in front of a blue screen pretending that everything's there, which I've never experienced, to be fair. It helps, you know, any time you can actually be engaging with your environment and feel like you're disappearing into a world, it only helps you as an actor, you know. Then again, at the end of the day, we are actors, and you know, our job is to just pretend anyway, but it just helps if you can kind of, you know, these sets that we've had, I think have been great, and the way Enrique's captioned it has been fantastic and beautiful, you know, and feeling really real and always with you too. The, you know, subjective nature of kind of like being with your perspective helps me a lot as an actor. Yeah, it's been great, you know, in terms of that.
Avenida Matriz.
Well, it made sense for our character to build sort of this nuclear device underground, obviously, so he could be, you know, not detected by any sort of, you know, radio censoring from that the CIA can do, that they would be able to do. So it was important that we found some underground structure. And what was nice, it's not your typical parking garage, or like I felt like it wanted to sort of really have something specific to Rome, you know, into Italy, which is sort of the old world. So it's like this housing project, and below are tunnels that may date back, you know, to the Renaissance, 400 years ago.
I knew from the get-go that we were going to be shooting in Rome. So Rome was, you know, as a character, that created that as a character. And that London would then be utilized for most everything else.
I was so excited. Well, I've worked in London twice before. I did a play here in 2010 in the West End, and then I did Now You See Me 2 years ago. So I'm very familiar with London. I love London, and I just feel like it's such a privilege to be able to work here. And I was so excited when they said they're shooting in London and Rome, and because I've never been to Italy, and I was like, yes, I'll take it, I'll do it. And then of course, my character does not work in Rome, so.
Well, we're in downtown London here. We're playing it for part of Turkey, their business district. And it's basically a, you know, eyes-on spying scene. So it's pretty simple. And we've already played Croydon for Istanbul, which was a bigger set piece.
We have a global unit will get wide shots and establishers of a lot of the places that we're working with. But in terms of getting the actors and the crew into some of these places, they're very, you know, a lot of the environments that we're working with are slightly volatile at the moment in particular, and it wasn't, just from a production standpoint, wasn't going to work to try to go, you know, to at least a few of these places.
So London is played for a lot of different cities. Well, it's played for London, actually, in a couple of scenes, for Turkey, and so this is our last sort of bigger set piece in London, and then we're off to Rome in like 3 days, yes.
I love the challenge of creating many of those environments in one place. I mean, London is an amazing city with a lot of amazingly diverse looks, a lot of things that maybe a lot of people that live here might not even realize are there. Or might just kind of go past them, never thinking about it twice. But there are you know, a lot of different textures to this city.
The scale is there, just like it feels big, you know, which is, you know, you tip the hat to Lorenzo and everybody else of like making it work, you know, and I love that. So you got to think outside the box as well, which they've done.
We've rarely had a scene on this movie where it's been such an acting day. Like, man, this is totally just pretending, and this feels like I'm totally just in a movie, you know? We've always, I think it's important, I think it's been important for Michael to establish that and to have that be the case, you know, that we can actually, you know, be feeling like we're in that authentic environment and can kind of get lost in it.